Here we have the CorkSport Axleback exhaust for 4th generation Mazda 3. So I'll be installing this onto my 2019 sedan. Before we jump into installation and sound comparison though, I wanted to talk real quick about my expectations for this and just show off the contents of the box. So of course we have the main unit here, we have exhaust tips, and these are specific for the sedan. When you purchase one of these, they'll ask you what model you have and send you the appropriate tips, and these are length adjustable. It also comes with these little clamps over here to join the pieces together. It should be a relatively simple install. Now, naturally, I'm not expecting any noteworthy performance gains out of this, but it should sound nice. And on the topic of sound, one of my biggest hesitations buying this was that I'm worried about it introducing drone at highway speeds. One of the biggest improvements in the 4th generation of Mazda 3 is that the cabin noise has been reduced significantly, so I want to make sure that I can hear this and enjoy it when I'm doing more spirited driving, but if I'm just cruising along on the highway, hopefully there won't be much drone at all. So with that, we'll take a look at the lovely colored instructions that they provide and get this put onto the car.
Alright, things we're going to need for this installation: safety glasses, as always, spanners, 14 and 17 millimeters. We're going to need 14 and 17 millimeter deep sockets and their accompanying wrench and torque wrench. We're also going to want some lubricant. I've got lithium grease here, but you could probably get away with just dish soap if you're desperate enough. We've also got channel lock pliers, gloves, and some things to clean up any grease or smudges when we're done. Now, the instructions say to jack up the back of the car, but that sounds like too much work, so I've backed it up onto some rams, chalked the front wheels, and given it plenty of time to cool down. You can see its brothers are out here for moral support. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off by removing two 14mm nuts holding the stock axleback to the mid-pipe. Leave the bolts sticking through as they are for now. Up next is an optional step that's recommended. We're just going to stick some painter's tape along here to reduce the risk of anything getting scratched while we work. Doesn't need to be anything fancy, just try to get all the edges covered up. Now we can take our lubricant and apply it to the bottom part of the hangers here. And with that lubed up, we can regret not having a lift to get a better angle here and use some channel lock pliers to pop the end of this bracket in and then wiggle it the rest of the way out by hand. Don't be afraid to spray some more lubricant here if you need it. Now, CorkSport recommends having a friend to help with the rest of this, but I'm not convinced that friends are even a real thing that exists, so we're going to do what I am dubbing the box method. I'm going to take the big ass box that CorkSport sent this thing over with and a towel on top for a little bit of cushioning and slide it underneath the car to catch the exhaust when we pop it loose. With all that in place, we can take out the last two hooks and then wiggle the stock exhaust on out of there, and presto! We'll stash it away somewhere safe and go grab our CorkSport exhaust. Now is the time for some gloves. If you've been wearing them, go get fresh ones, and if you haven't, clean your hands and put them on. We don't want to get any smudges, any grease, any gunk on our fancy new exhaust. It's also recommended to leave as much of the packaging on as you can up until the end to keep everything protected, but obviously I've removed that to film here. Now we'll just take this, stick it on the box, and slide it back under the car where it goes. Before you go any further, double check that the copper exhaust gasket is still there on the mid-pipe of the car. We'll start installing the new exhaust by popping it back into the rear hangers from earlier. The front ones aren't used, so you can just take them off or leave them there like I did. Up next, we're going to use the hardware to connect this up to the mid-pipe and just get the nuts on by hand without actually tightening things down. The flanges should go in between the two washers here. Up next, we're going to add the tips. We'll start by opening one of these clamps all the way up and slipping it on. Next, the tip should go in and it'll fit over the inside of the clamp, but outside the axleback section itself. Should feel pretty snug, so go ahead and get that rotated and pushed in how you like it. And then we're going to spin the clamp up, make sure it's about even between the tip and the axleback section. And then we're going to tighten this down, going to 35 to 40 foot-pounds. I just set my torque wrench to 38 for everything that we're doing here. And after doing that for the other side as well, we'll wiggle the tips around until they look just about straight. And now we can go torque down the connection to the mid-pipe. We're using a 17 mil socket here and going to go to the same 35 to 40 freedom units of torque. We're just about done at this point, but before we go getting all excited and starting it up, we're going to wipe down this entire exhaust system to get rid of any smudges or grease that got on it during installation. I'm just using some rubbing alcohol, but whatever cleaner you have on hand should be fine. Once it heats up, if there's any smudges that we didn't get off, those are going to get sort of set in there, and it's going to be really hard to clean those off. So we want to make sure that before that happens, we have everything here looking nice and pristine. And with that, we can lower the car back down and get ready to test this thing out.
All right, impressions time. So we'll start her up, and it's a lot louder immediately. The first thing I thought was but luckily after the car has settled down its idle and it drops down to that 800 RPM range, it's just about as quiet as the stock exhaust actually. So let's head off on our way. While I'm talking here, I'm going to be rolling some sound comparisons between the stock exhaust, which I recorded audio of last night, and the CorkSport exhaust here. Just for reference, when I'm playing exhaust from the interior of the cabin, I've literally just shoved the recorder in between the seat and headrest on the passenger seat. So it's effectively shock mounted and basically right exactly where your head would be if you were in here. So that should be pretty representative of the sound inside here. And I have kept all of the settings on the microphone itself consistent between the before and after shots. So it should be pretty representative of the difference between the two. When I'm demonstrating external audio, that is actually a lavalier microphone with a windsock clipped onto the license plate frame. And that one is set to automatic gain. I'll do my best to adjust it in post to make it accurate, but still wearing my safety glasses. But since I don't really have any way of keeping an eye on that one to make sure it doesn't peak and it's at an appropriate level, we're leaving that one on automatic, and you'll be able to hear at least the tone differences and everything through that. So immediately just driving out here, this is still perfectly pleasant, only very slightly louder driving around casually. You can hear it when you're accelerating, definitely. We'll get out of this shopping center here. Oh! Okay, yeah. Let this Tesla go past here. Or not. Oh yes. Alright. That does sound good. Trying to slow car down, shift to second. And just braking there back into drive. Alright, that sounds pretty good. I actually took this thing out autocrossing a couple of days ago just out of curiosity to see how it would do. It performed pretty well. It was a lot of fun. Certainly different than driving the Miata. I was told that I got a comment from one of the corner workers that it sounded like a Tesla compared to all the other cars. So that's probably not quite true anymore, but oh. Yeah, I am liking this exhaust system quite a lot. It's not overbearing. The tone is good. It doesn't sound overly ricey. I think it matches the personality of the car pretty well. So I think I've talked enough for right now. Let's go ahead and compare. We'll start off with the cold start and some mid revs. to 60 miles an hour, and then we're going to slow down. Sounds like gone up to 6th gear, nice and quiet. Tach is at 1750 RPM, but exhaust is pretty much totally quiet, so perfectly comfortable when you're just commuting to work. Quite good. That is quite good. All right, well, I think I'm pretty happy with this thing, so I'll have links to purchase it down in the description, and I think really that's all. So thumbs, comments, subs, you know the drill. Subscribe if you want to see some more videos. Like I said, I just should probably roll up the windows for this part. Like I said, I just got a bunch of other parts for the Mazda 3 and a couple things for the Miata, so I will be doing videos on those, as well as a sort of sketchy looking Chinese Android head unit for the Mazda Speed 6, so we will see how that goes. In the meantime, I'll see you guys in the next video.